Hey there, welcome to another segment of 5149 on Breaking Points, where we dive into different topics at the intersection of business, politics, and society. And today, I want to talk about how big tech is quietly running roughshod over privacy laws in the United States. Now, what first sparked my interest in doing this segment has been Amazon's recent blockbuster acquisitions, not only in just the past few weeks alone, but over the last few years. Because I think a lot of us think of Amazon as this e-commerce giant capable of instilling fear into any retailer with something as simple as a press release, and they most certainly are that, but they are now capable of so much more.
Amazon bought Whole Foods for a price that should qualify for free shipping, $13.7 billion.
Amazon buying MGM Studios for $8.5 billion and acquiring iconic film franchises like James Bond and Rocky.
Out Amazon in a new deal, buying its way into the pharmacy business. It is buying PillPack, an online pharmacy that offers pre-sorted doses of medication.
Who's there? It's Amazon buying up all the smart doorbells. Amazon will buy smart device maker Ring for over $1 billion, according to Reuters.
Amazon just announced that it is buying the primary care provider One Medical. The deal is worth $3.9 billion.
So Amazon is acquiring Roomba maker iRobot. It's an all-cash deal valued at $1.7 billion. The company announced all of this morning.
Whoa, imagine a company so powerful, so omnipresent in your life that they not only know everything about your consumption habits, what you buy through Amazon, but also what your typical diet consists of through your purchases at Whole Foods, what types of shows and entertainment you enjoy through MGM and Prime Video, but maybe more intrusive, they can also surveil the intimate goings-on within your home, the perimeter, the movements inside your home with Ring devices, map the floor plan of your home, figure out what furniture you have, don't have through their recent iRobot Roomba acquisition, and of course, listen in on your most private and intimate conversations at home with Alexa-enabled smart devices. And let's not forget about their potential access to your health records through One Medical. This is the Amazon of 2022, a company capable of knowing you better than you know yourself. And that is a little scary.
We have had an incredible year. The team has invented a lot on behalf of customers, and I cannot wait to show you what we have.
So far, Limp and his team have made Alexa compatible with more than 100,000 products.
Echo Frames allow you to get done more around you and be more present in the everyday.
Now, they're going to know more about you than anyone knows. They're trying to move as intimately as possible, and as quietly as possible, into everyday life.
Echo Loop is a smart ring packed with ways to stay on top of your day.
Amazon wants to have the entire environment essentially mic'd.
Alexa, start my running playlist.
They want your walk in the park. They want your run down the city street.
Nationwide's teamed up with Amazon to bring you the all-new Echo Auto.
They want what you do in your car. They want what you do in your home.
Amazon Smart Oven.
Alexa, bake for 30 minutes at 350 degrees.
All these intimacies, all this insight is being integrated, analyzed and integrated.
Alexa, alarm off.
That is an extraordinary kind of power that has never before existed.
Now, I have to say, some folks find privacy not to be that big a deal, but many others are much more alarmed. It all kind of depends on your own personal comfort level with trading privacy for convenience, and everyone's position on this sliding scale is different. But taking a look at this Pew Research survey conducted in 2019, 81% of Americans feel that the potential risks of companies collecting data about them outweigh the benefits, and 79% are either very or somewhat concerned about how companies use the data collected. But regardless of your own personal views on privacy, the reality is that Amazon has evolved from disrupting book sales to now, as Glenn Greenwald wrote back in 2019, quote, a critical partner for the US government in building an ever more invasive, militarized, and sprawling surveillance state.
To keep Amazon running, Bezos had developed an unprecedented digital infrastructure. He realized he could rent parts of it out, not just to businesses, but also to the government.
Nobody hangs out in
Washington, D.C. just to go to the free museums. You buy a home in Washington, you buy a newspaper in Washington because it is the most influential city in the world, and you want to lay your hands on that power.
In 2013, he got a major boost when it was revealed that Amazon Web Services had designed a computing cloud for the CIA.
Amazon Web Services was awarded a 10-year contract for $600 million.
Amazon is helping the CIA build a secure cloud computer network.
The CIA contract was probably one of the best things that happened to Amazon's cloud business. It lifted all doubts about the security of the cloud and whether you could trust Amazon with your most precious data.
The message to the world is if the CIA trusts Amazon with its data, then maybe other companies and government institutions can as well.
Introducing Amazon Recognition Video.
Recognition allows you to pass an image to us. You can say, do these two faces match, which is incredibly useful for applications in the security space. You can imagine unlocking your...
After Amazon rolled out a facial recognition tool, it marketed it to law enforcement.
Recognize and track persons of interest from a collection of tens of millions of faces.
Police we've spoken to say it's a valuable tool to identify suspects quickly.
Appears to be a match, but I'm going to make sure I look at them all.
And while Amazon has offered guidelines for how it should be used, there are few laws governing the use of this technology.
And that's kind of the problem. Unlike Europe, which has this uniform, comprehensive privacy law, the US is kind of like the Wild West when it comes to protecting an individual's private data. The US doesn't have a singular law that covers the privacy of all types of data. Instead, it has this mix of laws that go by acronyms like HIPAA, FERPA, COPPA, etc. And because such patchwork of privacy laws are extremely narrow focused and oftentimes outdated as well, it creates a situation where you might think your private data is protected, but it's really not. This is reporting from the New York Times, quote, "The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, has little to do with privacy and covers only communication between you and covered entities, which include doctors, hospitals, pharmacies, insurers, and other similar businesses." People tend to think HIPAA covers all health data, but it doesn't. Your Fitbit data isn't protected, for example, nor does the law restrict who can ask for your COVID-19 vaccination status. Right now, the strongest privacy laws passed in the US is in California, with regulations somewhat mimicking the protections given to citizens in Europe.
California's Consumer Privacy Act gives Golden State residents a slew of new rights related to user data. New regulations aim to provide more control over the personal information that companies regularly collect and sell.
The act gives Californians the right to ask tech companies what kind of data they're collecting on them. They can request for that data to be deleted, and they can also tell companies don't sell that data to other people and make money off of it.
Right. So California is home to some major tech companies, of course. How are they reacting to this new law, and will they comply with it?
Pretty much all tech companies are scrambling and grappling with exactly how they're going to be enabling themselves to comply with this law. Other states may follow suit. We've seen other states follow California's lead in regulation before, and there are 9 other states currently considering privacy regulations like this.
Yep, that's right. Other states are indeed wanting to follow suit, so big tech firms are working actively, albeit quietly, to prevent the passing of similar laws in other states, or at the very least, weakening the new laws. This is reporting from the Register, quote, "Amazon, Apple, Google, Meta, and Microsoft often support privacy in public statements, but behind the scenes, they've been working through some common organizations to weaken or kill privacy legislation in the United States." That's according to a report this week from news nonprofit The Markup, which said the corporations hire lobbyists from the same few groups and law firms to defang or drown state privacy bills. The report examined 31 states where state legislatures were considering privacy legislation and identified 445 lobbyists and lobbying firms working on behalf of Amazon, Apple, Google, Meta, and Microsoft, along with industry groups like TechNet and the State Privacy and Security Coalition. Citing a few examples, a Connecticut data privacy bill died last year after lobbyists weighed in against it, though the state did pass SB 6, an act concerning personal data privacy and online monitoring in April. The Washington Privacy Act collapsed for the third time last year. So did the Oklahoma Computer Data Privacy Act and similar privacy legislation in Florida. In some cases, the companies lobbying state lawmakers actually draft the bills that will later be passed to regulate them. That's what happened with the first version of the 2021 Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act, which was penned by an Amazon lobbyist. Yeah, unfortunately, this is not a novel situation in the US where companies are hiring lobbyists to write legislation on their behalf. So just to recap, more stringent privacy laws would of course affect the business model of Amazon and other big tech firms. And once they've realized that public opinion has now turned strongly against them in favor of more privacy protection for individual citizens, they all have now undertaken huge efforts to quietly craft legislation that claim to protect consumer privacy, but in reality, the laws are actually quite watered down and flimsy. But in practice, what will almost certainly be the case is that companies like Amazon, Google, Meta, even Apple, who are notoriously more careful with their customers' data, will continue to publicly preach consumer privacy while behind the scenes, their business practices will necessarily force them to push the boundaries of what the law and what the public will accept in terms of data gathering and surveillance. And the point I want to stress is that privacy is something that once given up, you typically don't get it back. Here's what Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, has said about privacy in response to allowing government agencies access to private data. Quote, "If you put a key under the mat for the cops, a burglar can find it too. Criminals are using every technology tool at their disposal to hack into people's accounts. If they know there's a key hidden somewhere, they won't stop until they find it." Now, while I have my own qualms with Apple, I'm not entirely sold on the genuineness of their privacy practices, I do think that his thoughts here are on point in that we ought to think about this issue not just as a trade-off between convenience and privacy, but rather against potential tyranny. Democracy is something that's very fragile, and attacks to democracy can manifest not just within the government, but in many different ways. Private power in the form of abusive multinational tech conglomerates, companies whose leaders have assumed vast amounts of power without ever receiving a single vote, coupled with a political system that is becoming increasingly incapable of checking such power, is a deeply concerning development for our democracy. And such change isn't going to come from the inside. Privacy, if we deem it important enough to protect, I think will have to come from us. I think we all have agency in protecting our own privacy, and we should own as much of it as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this segment to be helpful. If so, you can support my work by checking out my other videos and subscribing to my channel 5149 with James Lee, where I dive into other topics related to business, politics, and society. The link will be in the description below. As always, remember to subscribe to Breaking Points, and thank you for your time today.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.